The following is a sponsored program paid for by Robin Gwaltney, Gwaltney Group, RE/MAX Results. Welcome to Rochester Real Estate, featuring Robin Gwaltney from Gwaltney Group RE/MAX Results and Andy Brownell. Here's Andy Brownell on Rochester's News Talk, 1340 KROC AM and 96.9 FM.
Good morning, everyone. Andy Brownell here with Robin Gwaltney, Gwaltney Group RE/MAX Results, Saturday morning again.
Good morning.
It's supposed to be a sunny weekend all the way through.
We deserve it.
We do, absolutely. Well, Robin, what have you been up to?
It's been a busy week. Busy with work and busy with some community stuff. This past week we had the Breakfast for Heroes for the Boys and Girls Club.
Oh, fantastic.
It was nice. It's so nice to see all the people in this community come out and support such great causes. And then, of course, they had the Youth of the Year speak, and there wasn't a dry eye in the room, you know, because she's just a strong young lady that's going places. And, you know, it's a lot because of the support she gets and guidance at the Boys and Girls Club. So
wonderful organization.
Yeah, I'm always proud to be able to go and support such great causes. So that's always fun. And work-wise, this week we had a Realtor Association celebration, so to speak. When I got into the business 20 years ago, there used to be, I think every year or so, they did like an awards, luncheon, who's been 5 years, 10 years, 15 years kind of thing. And people just stopped coming. And we haven't had one for probably 6 or 7 years.
Oh, goodness, really?
And they had one this week. And it was nice because there was a lot of people. And it was fun to see people that were also brand new in the business when I started. And it was also fun to see people that were the seasoned veterans in the business when I started.
And now they're more seasoned.
Yeah, now they're a little more seasoned. But they're there and they're retired for the most part. But anyway, it was fun because the conversations that we had, revolved around how much the industry has changed from the time I started, and for them, way before me. And there was, jokes made about how big the telephone was, and you just put a bigger antenna on the car, and, funny stuff. And now it's like our cell phone is pretty much attached, right? And
we couldn't live without them.
Couldn't live without it, exactly.
Yeah, it is interesting. You think, it's universal for anybody who's been doing something long enough that, and the youngsters who are doing it now will probably have the same conversation 20 years from now. It's been astounding how quickly the change has occurred in the way we do business. And I don't care what business.
Right. Well, yeah, your business. I mean, you've been doing radio for a long time, correct?
A long time, since dinosaurs were
popular. There were dinosaurs doing radio? I missed that.
It seems that way sometimes.
But yeah, I mean, just think about how the technology has changed, everything. We literally did not have internet when I started selling real estate. We had catalogs that we took and showed people the pictures of the houses that were available, and they would say, "That one looks nice. Oh, that one sold. That one looks nice." I'm not kidding. And we have to update them each week, and it was a little bit archaic.
I remember the newspaper ads.
Oh yeah,
or the large ads that all had just the little thumbnail pictures of dozens and dozens of homes with the list price, and people. I suppose that's how they found.
And when I got my license, I went like gangbusters with marketing. My background is marketing. I have a marketing degree. So I went gangbusters with marketing, and I did a full page, full color ad in the Post Bulletin every single Friday with all my listings. And I think that even the other realtors thought, who is she? Where'd she come from? But, you could just make a presence, right, in the print. That isn't the case anymore.
No, it's not.
Now everything is out there. Everything's very transparent. If somebody wants to know how long I've been selling real estate, they can get that information. They can find out how many houses I've sold. They can find out how many of my customers, my customers have been thrilled, happy, or dissatisfied. I mean, everything is out there for everybody. So when a consumer is looking for a realtor now, they're not going to judge by the fancy ad in the paper. They're going to get online, they're going to do their research, and they know who's done what.
It's funny you say that, though. All that information is available. You can Google anything.
Right.
But if I'm going to pick a realtor, it's going to be word of mouth. It's going to be, I'm going to ask my friends.
Yep. But if your friends say, hey, call Robin Gwaltney, what are you going to do next?
Then I'll probably Google
it. Exactly. So it's sort of like, even if it's to justify or verify or validate, it's still there. So it's really different.
And that's I imagine it's more so for realtor because it's such a personal relationship. But almost any business now, you really have to have that website, and it has to look well or look good and work well.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you might lose some of that business because even though you had good word of mouth, if they look at your website, they might judge you by that website.
Well, and there's so many things now, so many things that are really pretty important in real estate that I wouldn't have been able to imagine when I got my license 20 years ago. I mean, if anybody would have told me in 20 years from now, you'll just look anything up you want on your cell phone, no matter where you are. You can be laying on a beach in Mexico and sell a house because you'll just send the documents for Authentisign. I mean, it's kind of crazy, to be honest.
You describe it that way.
I mean, it's a little crazy. And then, I mean, I was just like listening to these guys up there saying, I never did learn how to use a computer. I'm like, oh boy, you wouldn't last long this day and age, and these young agents, especially the ones that I know well on my team, I think they think I'm a dinosaur, the way I do things. But yeah, it's interesting how it changes.
If there was any one thing that really stands out, is it how people find the home that they want, perhaps? The ability to go on there and see these wonderful... Well, your website, the photos are incredible.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, we hire a professional photographer for all our photos because I think it's so important. I mean, I think 97% of the sales, originate online. So people are looking, and if they see ugly pictures, they have zero patience for that. They just flip right through it on to the next. But if they see pictures that they like, they get a little more intrigued and hopefully intrigued enough to call and ask to set up an appointment.
So go see the place in person,
Yeah.
But that's totally different than it was 20 years ago.
Oh, gosh. Are you kidding?
Yeah, to rely on that black and white. In your case, you took color, which probably... Bam!
But it's still a picture of the outside of the house. That's it.
And a static front shot of the house.
Yeah.
And now you're seeing...
Oh, yeah.
Drone flights and 3D, 60-degree... panoramic things. And
I had a client the other day tell me, so we were in the office and he wanted to know what how big the property was, because I was telling him it was 3.5 acres, how big the property was and how much of it was like yard and how much of it was woods. So I said, well, let's just look on Google Maps. So we look on Google Maps and it's like you're in an airplane looking down, right? And you can see exactly where the wood starts and where the lawn is. You can see their fire pit in the backyard, everything. So it's like, yeah, this is pretty good because, I mean, we can go and see the property, but it's a really nice view from the top. The very next day, I met up with him to see houses again, and he's like, hey, you have a nice house. I'm like, excuse me? He goes, oh, yeah, I Googled you. I got your address. I did Google Maps. He goes, even a pool. He goes, there was even people in the pool. I'm like, good God. So then I looked on Google Maps, and he was exactly right.
Enough. There you are.
So, yeah, it's like I say, things are pretty much out there now.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a guy I know who always is working on his car in his driveway. And he always is. And sure enough, I Googled him, and there he was.
Oh, that's hilarious. That is hilarious.
It wasn't too hard to catch him working on the car because he is working on the car all the time. But
that's funny.
Yeah, it has to have been a revolutionary thing for the real estate industry.
Amazing. It's just amazing. I mean, one of the gals was speaking, and she's talking about as soon as you would get to, like, Lake City, you would lose cell phone reception.
Sure.
So then you just had to hope that the person you were meeting was going to be there, or whatever, because that's the way it worked. Or if we had to deliver a purchase agreement to another agent, we would physically get in our car, drive to their office or their home, depending on what time of the day it was, hand deliver it because we weren't scanning it and emailing it. Sometimes we'd get fancy and fax it. But that was, that's if people were like out of state or something. But yeah, crazy.
But what you're talking about there, that's actually relatively new, the ability to sign legal documents.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
That's amazing.
I mean, it's been a few years,
I know,
5, 10.
Okay.
I don't know. I lose track of time. I mean, maybe not 10, but
I know,
at least 5.
Well, when you say 10 years ago, that seems like yesterday. So there.
True.
But ultimately, what you're doing is still the same business. You're still buying and selling homes.
Isn't that the truth? It's like no matter how much technology changes and the tools we have change, and photography is better, and we've got video, and we've got 3D, and we've got all these fancy things, but we're still setting out to do the exact same job. We're still setting out to build relationships, show houses, sell houses, and none of that has really changed. That's all pretty much the basics.
You have some new tools.
Exactly.
And they're pretty darn fancy is what they are. We're going to take a quick break. Back in just a few seconds with Robin Gwaltney, Gwaltney Group RE/MAX results on Newstalk 1340 KROC AM and 96.9 FM.
We'll be right back with Robin Gwaltney and Andy Brownell on Rochester Real Estate. This is News Talk 1340 KROC AM and 96.9 FM. Welcome back to Rochester Real Estate with Robin Gwaltney from Gwaltney Group RE/MAX Results and Andy Brownell on Rochester's News Talk 1340 KROC AM and 96.9 FM.
Good morning. Welcome back. Robin Gwaltney, Gwaltney Group RE/MAX Results on this Saturday morning. I'm Andy Brownell, and we've been talking about the technological changes that you've seen in the real estate business, and we kind of mentioned all the ability through the internet to view properties and the fantastic pictures and photography. But is there anything else that you see as really super significant in the way you conduct that business?
Well, yeah, you talked about if you were looking for a realtor, you would just ask a friend to get a reference.
But then I'm local too, so.
It's true. And when I started selling real estate, that is where most of my business came from. Scott and I had ran the Rochester Better Chance house for several years by that time. And so we were pretty well known in the community. We had, been involved in quite a bit of stuff. So people knew us and trusted us, not as real estate agents because we were new to that career, but they felt like we were somebody they could do business with. So most of our business was just people we knew. And then another way that I got a lot of business was sitting in open houses. I mean, I sat in open houses religiously, 3 every Saturday, 2 every Sunday. And it's so funny, Andy, because the same people come to open houses weekend after weekend. I would know when it was their daughter's birthday because they've been coming for a year. I mean, I'm not even kidding. It's like, you guys haven't bought a house yet? But yeah,
you must have had really good cookies.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I would see them at different houses. Clearly, I wasn't selling the same house for a year. But it's just funny that you do see the same. You see the same people. It's fun. I mean, I built relationships with people coming to open houses, and I loved it when people came, even if they were neighbors, because I always liked somebody to chat with. And then maybe that person didn't even think they were looking for a realtor, but 6 months later they find out that they're getting a job somewhere else, and they remembered, I was over there talking to Robin when she was there. I liked her. They'd call back and say, well, now we have to sell. We didn't think this was coming, but we're being transferred or something like that. So that was it. It was a face-to-face, build relationship. Yes. And now there is, like I said, everybody's searching on the web, right? So there's all these leads that come to us. So have you ever gone online and you're maybe looking at cars, and the next thing you know, you get an email saying, hey, is there a specific car you're looking for? Can I help you?
Yeah, it's happened.
Yeah. And same thing with houses. And I think a lot of consumers get so frustrated because all they want to do is go out there and look at a house. And they don't want to have to put in their name and their email and their phone number because they know what's going to happen. They're going to start getting bombarded with phone calls and emails and can I help you? Can I sell you a house? Can I sell you a house? Can I sell you a house? And people they really don't like it. So we do get those internet leads, but we take a different approach. It's like we'll give them a call and say, hey, if there's something you need help with, we're happy to help you. Make sure you give us a call. It's not cramming it down their throat. It's not calling them every other day. And we focus so much on trying to build a relationship. So maybe it's going to take a follow-up call, a couple days later or a week later saying, I noticed another house that's similar to the one that you're looking at has come on the market, giving them valuable information so that they understand we're not just trying to make a sale. We're trying to build a relationship. So even though it's a completely different approach, and like, again, if you would have said, you're going to get all these internet leads because they create these landing pages. And when somebody looks at it, well, what does that even mean? And so people have to put all their information in, and then all of a sudden you become the stalker. And I haven't done it. I haven't worked leads. But I actually do provide those for the young agents on my team who don't have a sphere of, a pool of home buyers right at their,
Well, they haven't been around long enough.
Yeah, right. So it gives them an opportunity to find people who are clearly looking. And we do have some agents on our team who have kind of going back to the old school doing open houses. So some agents will say, oh, no, I've never done an open house in my life. And some sellers will say to me, well, I've heard open houses aren't a good idea. Well, I mean, everybody has a different idea. If you're good at hosting an open house, which means you're engaging with the people who walk in, you're answering their questions, you're knowledgeable about the property, you're not pushy, you're not shovey, you're just there to help them, then open houses can be very, very successful. And true, maybe the person that you meet doesn't buy the house that you met them at. And maybe they just like you and decide to call you back to buy another house. And then the sellers, I've had sellers say, well, I don't want somebody just using my house as a place of business just to meet buyers for other houses. And I always say, it's your call. If you want an open house, we'll host an open house. If you don't, it's okay. But if you're asking my professional opinion, I think it's a great idea. I think it's a great opportunity to let people not feel like they're being handcuffed, come in, take a look at the house, right?
Have a cookie.
Have a cookie. Have a nice conversation. Absolutely.
I imagine that if I were in the marketplace for a home, I think I'd want to do that. And, well, just number one, to meet some realtors.
Yeah.
To get kind of a feel for what kind of person I want to work with.
Exactly. I tell my agents, when you are doing an open house, think of being at a job interview every single time, okay? Because those people are assessing you whether they're in the market for a realtor right now or not. I one time, this is something that I'll never forget, had a gentleman come into an open house. He asked me a lot of questions. I knew all the answers. I answered the questions. I knew about the neighborhood. I knew about the schools. I knew the things he wanted to know. And he was clearly impressed because he took my card, put it in his wallet, called me about 1.5 years later and told me, hey, it's so-and-so. I'm ready to sell my house. And I'm like, who? And I said, great.
I met you once at this home.
Yeah, and the name sounded familiar. But you know what was crazy, Andy? When I walked in to his listing appointment and saw his face, I said, oh, yeah, you told me you were going to be building out and such and such. And I remembered the whole thing like it was yesterday because we had a meaningful conversation. We connected, and that was great because then I sold his house so that he could move into the new house that he had just built. And then a few months later, he recommended me to the people across the street. So I sold their house, and then they needed a new place to go. So I sold them a house. So anybody who says from a real estate agent's perspective or a realtor's perspective that an open house is a waste of time, I disagree.
And everything you've described to me goes right back to the same point that despite all of the high-tech stuff that goes on, it is a personal relationship business still. You're doing all of this stuff, but it comes right down to getting to know the person, the buyer or the seller, at that level where you have good communication and trust. And
I think the number one point is be authentic. Be you. Nobody likes somebody that's fakey. It's so apparent. It's so obvious. You know what I'm talking about. Even if you go out to dinner and sometimes you get a server that, I always want to say waitress because that's what I was when I was 15, but it's server. When you get a server that approaches you and before they've set the water on your table that they're going to drive you crazy. And other times it's like, oh, this is going to be a really enjoyable time. And it's just the way people present themselves. And you can tell, well, I can tell, and I think most people can tell when someone's being authentic and just real. And people like that.
Oh, for sure.
People like that.
It's amazing that doesn't get picked up in a lot of places, that ability to be who you are all the time is a lot more attractive than putting on a show.
I realized, I've realized this many times, but this past week I was sitting in a class at RE/MAX, and it was given by the broker owner, which is a whole nother story, but I think it's amazing that this number one broker owner in the freaking world will come here and give his agents a class, okay? Not just here in the Rochester office. He has 30-something offices, and he does the same thing in all these classes. So he brings his 20-plus years of knowledge. 20, no, excuse me. I have 20. He's got a lot more than that. Probably 40, I don't know, years of knowledge. And he brings them and wants to take his time to give us one-on-one ideas about how to reach our goals, how to do business planning. But I told all of my agents on my team that attended the class that he preaches it in a way, and no disrespect to him because he'll probably listen to this show, he usually does, in a way that's works for him, as if that's the only one way to do it. And clearly that's not the case. He was an agent that was very successful because he made a lot of phone calls, did cold calling over and over and over and over. I'm an agent who's quite successful, who's never done any cold calling. So you have to do what works for you.
Yeah.
And I think it's being true to yourself.
And that's what's really cool about the business, because if you can find a way to be yourself and be successful at the same time, that's like magic.
Well, the greatest part about it is, clearly and I bet most of the listeners have picked up by now that I am so passionate about what I do. I love what I do. So the fact that I get up every day and go to work and do something that I love to do, it's amazing.
I get that from your other team members, by the way, too.
Isn't that awesome? And they're not all like me. We're all different. But that's what I love about them. I say, be you, don't be me.
We're talking with Robin Gwaltney, Gwaltney Group RE/MAX Results, and we'll be back in just a few short moments on News Talk 1340, KROC AM and 96.9 FM.
We'll be right back with Robin Gwaltney and Andy Brownell on Rochester Real Estate. This is News Talk 1340, KROC AM and 96.9 FM. Welcome back to Rochester Real Estate with Robin Gwaltney from Gwaltney Group RE/MAX Results and Andy Brownell on Rochester's News Talk 1340 KROC AM and 96.9 FM.
Good morning, everyone. We're back. Andy Brownell along with Robin Gwaltney, Gwaltney Group RE/MAX Results on News Talk 1340 KROC AM and 96.9 FM. Robin, you mentioned this a couple weeks ago.
It's coming up.
It's coming up real fast. You have a really fun family event you're hosting, I guess, the best way to put it. Yeah.
Well, so what we like to do is, like, each quarter, we like to do something that's pretty out there in the community, so that it's available for a lot of people, whether it was our things that we did down on Thursdays downtown or the Fall Festival. We have Sunday, December 1st, we have rented a theater at Cinemagic. And we are going to we're going to be showing Disney's Frozen 2, big hit with the kids.
Fantastic reviews, by the way.
Oh, good. So anyway, we've got some princesses coming and maybe a big guy with a red hat. And we've got Olaf is going to be there. And we've got photo booth, so there'll be photo opportunities with these different characters. We've got the most magnificent face painter. We've had her at our other events, and she's just a hit. So she's got some Frozen face painting, to do, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So we have sent out emails to all of our past clients and our current clients, and we've, of course, extended the invitation to our future clients and our friends and our colleagues. So we just want it to be a lot of fun. We've got room for a lot of people, and we are going to stop taking registration in just a couple of days. I think by Tuesday, because we have to have final numbers to the theater. So we have just a couple of days. So it's not too late yet, but it will be soon to get in on the action. We're giving everybody not only the free movie, but some free pop and free popcorn, and it should be a really fun time. It's on a Sunday morning, and I get that it's Thanksgiving weekend, so for some people that isn't going to work, but for others, it's ideal because they've got relatives in town, so it's something fun to do.
Yep.
And I've heard of some people where the grandmas are going to bring the little kiddos to the movies and grandpas, and then moms and dads have some time to go out shopping and get in on some of those weekend sales.
And Grandma and Grandpa finally found out who Olaf is.
Exactly.
Because I don't know.
And Anna and, what is it, Anna and Elsa?
It's Elsa. I know
Elsa
that one.
and Anna, I
have
think.
neighbor girls who are really big into this.
Yeah, I always say it wrong. I always say Elsie and Annie or Anna. I don't know. Anyway, Anna and Elsa, I believe. And I didn't see Frozen 1, so maybe I need to see that before I go to see Frozen 2, or maybe it doesn't matter
You're just
at all.
going to be completely out of what's going on.
I'll be fine. I'll fake it. I'll be fine, really. It'll be fine. Princess movies are princess movies, right? But I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be really nice to reconnect with some of the people that we've sold houses to over the past couple of years, see how their kiddos have grown. You know, again, I just love the face-to-face stuff, and I love to give back to the community. We've invited the young single moms that live at the Jeremiah house to bring their kids
Fantastic.
and come, and some of the other people in town that maybe wouldn't have the means to go to the movies. So, you know, it's going to be a great time, and I think that there'll be fun had by all.
So we have a couple days or so.
Yeah, to
From
get
this
registered. So
Facebook
today,
page?
it's on my it's on the Gwaltney Group Facebook page, and it's on my Facebook page. But the deal is, you have to have the link sent to you. So if you want to be invited and you haven't already received that link from me,
Okay.
then just reach out to me. Whether you reach out to me on my Facebook page, or, you know, send me a text or call me or send me an email and say, hey, I'd love to take my grandkids or my neighbor kids or my niece and my nephew, or I want to come see the movie, and I'm going to send you a link and would love to have you as one of our guests.
That's easy to do, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I also wanted to remind folks that you have that wonderful new service, and I cannot remember right now the name of it, that I have signed up for,
For HomeBot.
for HomeBot. That is
Yeah.
so cool.
Isn't it great?
And so folks can go to your
To the
website-
Gwaltney Group website and
sign.
register for HomeBot. Yeah.
Yeah, I just got a little click the other day. It said, hey, my house went up in value.
Nice. That's always a good thing.
All right, Robin, you have a great week.
All right. I will. You do the same.
Look forward to it. Remember to go to the Facebook page if you want to check out the movie. It's Cinemagic. Robin Gwaltney, Gwaltney Group RE/MAX Results with us this morning. I'm Andy Brownell. We'll see you next Saturday on News Talk 1340, KROC AM, and 96.9 FM.